Good morning, and welcome to Mindset Monday. I'm Shelley Butler.
I'm Yves Doucet.
Yes, you are. And it is a snowy morning here in Moncton, New Brunswick. So Eve and I are, well, no, I haven't left my home. Eve has traveled many kilometers in this snow because he is not afraid of traveling in the snow. That's fantastic. Big
I love
snowboard
I,
day. Love it.
I love driving in the snow. So
Mm,
took my car out and I have a yellow truck so you can see it from far, so I don't lose it in the snow. And I'm going to go snowboarding after this. So I'm here at Piccadilly Coffee Shop in Sussex, and it's a nice coffee shop actually. They have good coffee and desserts, and I'm having a coffee and then my tea, and it's perfect before I head out to the hill. Mhm.
Love it. I
Mhm.
absolutely love it. And I posted something, you had posted something about you being snowboarding. And I said, I love that the number, your number, doesn't keep you from doing the things that you love.
Yeah, I think that Andre there he made a comment on something about my age. I took that personally.
Well,
I decided to change my birthday. Did you see that?
I did. Yeah,
And so I'm
March.
I'm also going to change my age. I decided that based on that comment, I'm no longer 66. I'm now 33. So I've decided that. So it must be true then. That's my truth.
I I love that, right? If it's our thought, if it's a thought, then it is definitely our truth and it's definitely fact. Right? Our thought is always truth and always factual, or at least we work it that way, don't we? So I am so pleased. I am so pleased that you do not look at that age. Yeah, Angela put 66 going on 33. And do you know what? So many people, do you not find that? Like
Right.
when I was in my 30s and my grandparents were not, they were older. I mean, they seemed old to me, you know? Um, Now I look at people, now maybe it's because I am that much older, but I think that times are changing. It's not like we hit 45 years old as women and we start wearing polyester pants with the elastic waistband. We're still, it's time, yeah, times are just changing. And I think that our
Waste.
age, well, I swear to God, that's kind of what it was. Like it was everybody kind of dressed old. Everybody seems so much older at 50 and 60. And now I just don't see that same thing, People don't say, well, I'm old, therefore I can't. They don't do that anymore. Like I joined CrossFit. I'm going to be 58 this year.
Yeah, I think I think there are some people who still are like you can probably expand your view a little bit here. And there are a lot of people who are still thinking or still have the mindset of I'm old, so therefore I'm not going to do that. And there are some
For
people that are
sure.
delusional, like you and I, and say, no, I don't want to live in that world. I'm going to live in my own mind. So might as well not be delusional. I look good no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so important. So, without further ado, as we
I do.
finish up our small talk, so Eve and I have been, since we got back after our summer break, have been working on real life scenarios that happen in companies just like ours, companies just like yours, that perhaps can have a better way of managing it, right? Just like I can still wear jeans at 57 years old as opposed to elastic stretchy pants. So we have to we have to expand our minds. We have to expand our ability to see things differently. And that's what Mindset Monday has been all about since we've kind of gathered back for our 2025 season, is to ensure that we can give a different perspective. So, what we've been doing is we've grabbed some clips, Instagram clips, social media clips that are, based on like real life experiences. We actually play it for you. In this particular case, we're going to play it for you twice, because it's so quick and so short that we want you to listen. And then Eve and I will come back and we will chat about how we may handle that within Dovico, how we may handle that within our lives. So, Estelle, producer extraordinaire, take it away. Listen up. We're going to play it twice.
Oh, wow, an employee survey. I'm going to fill this out and be completely honest about what I think this company is doing wrong. They'll respect me for my honesty.
This is a great way to get fired.
Oh, wow, an employee survey. I'm going to fill this out and be completely honest about what I think this company is doing wrong. They'll respect me for my honesty.
This is a great way to get fired.
Employee surveys. Employee surveys. Everybody loves an employee survey.
You asked, like in preparation for this, you asked me a question whether or not I was ever on the filling out phase in my life, and I like surveys didn't like so. I may think I'm 33, but I'm actually 66. So when I was a young man and I was actually an employee, which is several years ago, we didn't do employee surveys. So that wasn't a thing. But I've been on the receiving end, in other words, receiving the surveys from a management or a board perspective. I've been on that side. So, so
You know why I asked you that question? Pineapple. I cut you off. Sorry.
uh, well, I have like 10 stories I made up in my head right now about why you asked me that question, but why not I just ask you? Why did you ask me that question?
Because it was the way you were answering the question, right? What, for me, kind of thing. Like you were talking about the context of the survey, the content of the survey, and
yes.
yeah, so it was the way that you were responding to me that had me in my thoughts about, oh, well, wait a minute, you were the guy going into the boardroom to discuss what we all wrote down. So with a survey, let's just be clear, with a survey, a customer survey, or sorry, a in-office survey, the reason why this guy is saying the little song at the end, this is the way to get fired, right? Because most people believe that if we actually say our truth, right? So Yves Doucet asks on a survey, who is aligned with the project? And if you're not aligned on this project, please list what's keeping you from being aligned on this project. So
but I'm going to say this though. I was recently an employee. Recently, I behave as an employee. So I do these tests. So I was recently an employee, and I wasn't asked whether or not, like from an employee point of view, but I did say my truth, and it was disastrous. People don't want to hear the truth, right?
This is a way to get fired.
Absolutely. So people are not there, even if they ask you for the truth. Most people, and I can say that from a management point of view, most managers aren't ready to receive the truth. They'll make themselves right, make you wrong. So if it's not anonymous, there's a risk that you're going to get fired. There's a risk that you're going to get like this with your boss. That's what happened to me. We got like this. We got into a disagreement, and I left. Right, and this is what happens. Now, I didn't get fired because I left. I didn't need the job, but I imagined how difficult it would be. Like I can accept that it would be difficult if this is like a job that you need to pay the bills, and you need this job to make earn a living, and you care about this job, and like I can imagine all of this stuff and how difficult it is for a person, an employee, to actually tell the truth, even if it's anonymous, because there's danger there. And I think that video is very appropriate. This is a way to get fired. I think that's true.
Absolutely, right? Take your thoughts to human resources and see what happens.
Like I don't know this. I don't know that there's a lot of companies out there that really are interested in the truth, right? They're interested in feedback. And it takes a special, like open-minded person to be able to say, yeah, okay, I think maybe maybe there's some truth to what you're saying, and maybe there's not, and maybe I can take action on that. like, I don't know, in my personal life, I don't know a lot of people that could take that kind of truth, take the feedback, right?
Yeah, most people in my personal life certainly can't, you know. So when I express to them how important it is to have that open conversation and the open dialogue, like we do with Show Up, for instance, right? People can see other
Mm.
people's comments on that question that we put out there. Are you aligned? And when people say, you know, no, I'm not aligned, that's an innate fear that's within them. If I'm not aligned on this project, then I am the easiest to be let go, right? Is she going to spend time with me to make sure I'm aligned? Is she going to find another project for me that I can work on? If I'm not aligned, am I out? Right? If I can't tell my truth, am I out? So I always say to people when they come to me and asking me for advice on their company's feedback or surveys, I say do not do them, because I can tell you something that is the most harmful in companies is asking for your opinion, watching the leadership group go upstairs to the boardroom with all the surveys in hand so they can discuss it amongst themselves and make some kind of decision.
I remember I was on a board of directors of a company. So there's a big company, 5,000 employees. And we had hired this president. This is what comes to mind right away. We had hired this president, and like he was not very well liked. Um, we we could tell. So the company decided to do a survey. And so they asked, like, the performance of the president, all that stuff. And it was like really in the high percentiles. 90 percentiles, like an acceptance and all that stuff. And so the board said, look at that. I said, he's doing a good job. And I stood up and said, well, that may be true from a survey point of view, but I'm walking down the street in Moncton. People are handing me resume from this company. In other words, they're leaving. So they're not telling you the truth because they're afraid to get fired. Did you freeze or did I
You
freeze?
froze.
Am I sparking? Hello?
Hello. Yo,
Am I
I can
speaking to
hear you.
myself?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I froze.
Can you not hear me? We
Am
could
I
hear
back?
you. You just froze.
You could hear me? Am
We
I
could
better
definitely
now?
hear you. Yeah.
I can't.
Continue.
Okay.
Yeah. So this
Okay.
business was
Well,
losing employees because
I
they were
hope I
not
was
telling the
frozen.
truth.
Was I frozen with a smile?
You were frozen in a good space. Yeah.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
weren't. They. Okay.
So
Cool.
did you
So
take it? So did you take it upon yourself to let that boardroom know that was happening? Okay, so now he's frozen in a not good look. He looks like he's going to give us a kiss. Okay, so poor Yves. Poor Yves. He is in a coffee shop in Sussex, away from us. So he is not having good internet, obviously. But just to continue here, it is super important that you understand that your feedback forms, your surveys make everybody else in the company uncomfortable. I can even remember when we decided to have a town hall and we put a metal box with a little slit and a lock on it. And two people within the company were actually going to look at these feedbacks, and then we were going to discuss it. We were going to call it town hall, but it made people uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And we no longer have a metal box, and we no longer ask people to put their thoughts in a slot so we can discuss it later. And the worst part about it is it was kind of like management talking about it and deciding before we bring it to fruition. Are you back, Mr. Doucet?
Yes, I turned off my camera, so maybe it's a
There you
little
go.
better. Is it
There you
better?
go. Yeah, it's
Okay. Okay.
amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so it's like people like the problem with a survey, it's like it's void of human connections. And what I find in survey that have no context or content in it is people will tell you the truth, but you don't know how to take it. You don't know what it means. You don't know if it's true. You don't know what mood they're in. You don't know what like space they're in. You don't know their history. Like you don't know how to take it. And so I go back to the where we're doing it now, which is to me is having an open conversation anonymously. It allows people to tell you something. You can ask, like I've asked openly. When I left the other job, I asked openly to all the people that were coming, hey, is this true or not? And I got good feedback, right? It was open. And then some people were sharing this and that, that you could see that there was a conversation going on about whether or not one person believed it or several person believed it. And that to me, when you have a conversation with anonymity, because you as a leader, you have to realize that it's hard for the person to say their truth because they might get fired. And that fear is real and it's there and it's inside their body. But if you want to build a company where people can actually trust you, because we're talking about trust, right? Leadership is about building trust so they can actually they can do the task without always thinking, is this person going to react or yell at me? Well, the first thing you have to do is have a proper conversation. And, as leaders, asking for feedback and seeing if there's a consensus around that feedback, whether or not it's true or not, then there's action to be taken from a leadership point of view. And that builds trust, right? And you may have one person that feels one way about something, but the rest of the company doesn't. But typically what we do as leaders, and I'm going faster because I'm afraid to miss out on the internet. But but what we typically do is we manage the exceptions. We manage by exception, sorry. Which means that somebody yells at us or somebody says something to us, we take it so personally and we take action on it. And sometimes as leaders, we have to realize that one person is not the truth. Keep in mind, there's 8 billion truths out there. Every person has their own way of seeing the reality that they face. There's 8 billion truths. And if we only react to a person, one feedback, then we're not building a company that's moving forward. We're building a company that's living in one truth or one path. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it absolutely does make sense to me. So just recently, even at the office, right? This happened last Wednesday. I said something, it affected one of my teammates, one of my coworkers. They went on to express how it made them feel. I, did an apology and it was in front of everybody, but we will not let that go. Right? If it has affected one person, we will go back and I will make sure that it is addressed in the next team meeting, right? So everything that we have is very much facing everyone. When we ask for feedback, we don't just take the feedback into a room, it's amongst all Dovaconians. Everybody sees the comments, everybody sees the responses, and we trust each individual to make up their own minds on that. The thing is what we will not have within Dovaco is we will not have those surveys that Yves and I take into a boardroom somewhere and discuss it amongst ourselves. See, the thing is that's reaction. That is super reactionary. Yves and I actually did that a couple of years ago. Yves put out a survey right after we had a discussion, and it was a difficult discussion. And we went out on the deck. I'll never forget it. And we discussed it without context, without proper information, without even a conversation around it, and made ourselves bad. That's what we did. We didn't, interesting enough, we didn't make everybody else bad. We made ourselves bad. We made ourselves wrong. That's not going to work either. So making sure that those opinions of people, those feedbacks of people, people's thoughts are always their truth and always factual to them. So you have to sometimes even give it a little bit of room. But when we discuss things in-house at Dovaco, we discuss it amongst each other. It's not just my opinion, somebody else weighs in, and it may be somebody that's only been at Dovaco for a really short period of time, but everybody has a voice at Dovaco and everybody can weigh in. And we do handle the exceptions. There's always exceptions, but we handle it in such a loving and kind way. It's easy when people are against leadership just to say, see ya. see you later, it's that you will get fired. Um, we don't really have that necessarily at Dovaco. If you don't understand our philosophies, if you don't understand the pillars and practices, I do find that people will get left behind. If you're constantly coming to every meeting in reaction or attached to an outcome, or it's all about you, it's not probably going to work out well for you at Dovaco. We do not have a top-down approach. There is nobody here that's going to actually tell you what to do and tell you how to think. We're really looking for you to make your own growth strategy. What really sets us back is if we have the same conversation that we had last year with you and the year before with you, that creates some tension. And we do expect people to grow. We do expect people to be able to handle feedback, meaning if, the design isn't quite tweaked the way we like it, we do expect people to be resilient enough to understand it's not a failure. It was just unintended results, but we really want people to think for themselves. We do want you to express your thoughts, because the thing is if you're going to bed every night with that exact same thought and you're making others bad to make sure that you're good, it's never ever going to work.
But Shelley,
Yeah.
Shelley, to be honest, I've been at Dovico for a while too, and this is not a perfect way, because what happens when you have a place where people can express their own truth and they can't get away from that truth, it becomes like a problem eventually, right?
It is.
And
It
so
is a problem.
So what I've discovered is unless you have the ability to see that you're stuck in your truth and you're stuck in this way of thinking, there's no progressing. There's no open-mindedness to actually discover that maybe you're stuck in your own truth. And so
Yeah.
it's important to make sure that the audience realizes that surveys are interesting. They won't get you to the truth. They won't get you to understand the reality of the world. But also, if you listen to the person and you give that person a space to tell the truth, they most likely will be stuck in that truth for a while, even if you have a conversation.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so you have to be able to say, okay, you're stuck in your same truth. We've had this conversation 15 times, and I accept that you have this way of seeing it. It's just not the way we're going. We're going this way. We're going a different way. And and if they can't see they're stuck though, and then they're going to be, eventually you're going to have a disjointed team. One person will have a thought that we're going this way, and another person was going the other way. But we had this discussion just last week.
We're seeing it.
Like that.
Yeah, we're absolutely
I
seeing
said
it.
exactly those words. I'm tired of having the same conversation over and over again. Why can't you see that you're stuck in this thoughts? Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, right? You have to have your own growth
from a
mindset.
leadership, this is why. And the number one thing people would tell us when they're trying to
Oh, do we lose him? We lost him.
And if you think of what people will say to me when I present this open conversation, and one comment I got last week from my presentation, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. So Yves did get a comment. So he went
Can you
and
hear me
did.
now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
So maybe you get, so the number one thing that people will tell us when we okay. So the number one thing people would tell us when we say, let's have a conversation with anonymous feedback, they'll say, what if they say something that's attacking or wrong? You remember that comment? I'm in fear of seeing the truth. Maybe you can speak to that.
In fear of speaking the truth. Yeah. So, well, first, you started this thing saying I got some feedback, and the feedback that Yves got was he said something inappropriate and made that person feel, that person felt that there was an inappropriate comment. The problem is unless you add context to that, what was the inappropriate comment? Just to say you said an inappropriate comment and don't follow through with exactly how what was the comment, right? See, the thing is you may feel that way, but when you have an open discussion with your entire team, you may not even have to speak up. The other teammates say, "Oh, I didn't see it like that." Or, "Oh, I felt the exact same way as you." So we get to have that dynamic conversation with 30 people, and 30 people weigh in on that. Is that just the way that you're feeling, or is it the way that everybody is feeling? I think it's really important that we get grounded on, are we here? It's like Yves said, we have no idea how you're feeling when you're filling out that survey. And today you might fill it out this way because you had a car accident on the way in or whatever happened. But tomorrow you may have filled it out completely differently. And we have to be really exceptional when it comes to understanding as leaders where people are coming from. It's their truth in this moment. It's the truth right now. But I know last Wednesday we had a team meeting and people were talking about an integrated feature that we were doing. We're not integrating anything. And a few people said to me, "Shelley, why wouldn't you address that? Why wouldn't you clear that up?" I understood that I had a whole bunch of people in that meeting that were in reaction. The words that I was going to say were not going to land. That was the truth in that moment, and I can address it at a different time, probably better. It's really important to read the room. Is it time now? Is it ready? Are you ready now to discuss that? I believe that if you do not tell your truth and you do not have the conversation because you're worried about being fired, you are going to live the exact same life. You're going to be miserable every Sunday night when you got to go to work Monday morning. And life is just too short for it. You got to stop it. Make sure that you're fueling your joy. And what I have found out as I've been talking about fueling the joy, so many people come to me and they have no idea how to fuel their joy. They have no idea what even their joy is. Double down, make sure that you know what that is. Because if you don't, and you're 66 years old, you still have a chance. But my concern is that you've been living a life year after year in misery and your own suffering. Nobody creates your suffering. It's only you. Surveys don't work. I'm going to say it plain and simple. Even I may feel differently about this, but surveys do not work. Conversations work. Conversations will help over time to build trust. It's not going to change tomorrow, but conversations over time, if you show up as you and you're not trying to make yourself fit in the room, you're not trying to say the right things today, you're just always showing up as the best version of you. And when you're not able to, you can say, I'm not the best version of myself today. And understand that maybe you shouldn't be in that meeting. Self-awareness is what is king today, queen today. Self-awareness. We need to do more of it. Have the conversation. Don't have the survey. And we have a way forward for that. So at Dovico, we built a product called Show Up. You can see us under showup.io. And truly, it's about having a deeper discussion, not with you at the top, but everybody as a facilitator, everybody seeing the comments, everybody seeing the feedback, and everybody getting to comment on that. That's what's going to change your life. That's what's going to change your office environment. That's what's going to change your interaction as well as your alignment. It's going to build trust. It's going to build transparency, and not just from the top down. Everybody gets to be an equal in this app, and everybody gets to share their truth the way that they see it. Understand that your thoughts, even though you think that they're fact, even though you think that they're truth, they're simply your thoughts. And when you start discussing those with other people, you may see the errors of your ways, or they may see you a little bit better. So it is the top of the hour. So important that you love your life. I hope that you find a way to fuel your joy. And if you can't find a way to bring your team into high performers, Show Up is here for you. Let's finish it off there. I'm Shelley Butler.
I'm Yves Doucet.
And this has been Mindset Monday. Mwah. Love you. Get your workout in.